Hi guys, so this is going to be an introduction to the rest of the content that we're going to be discussing, we're going to be speaking about. As most of you may know already, particularly the guys who've come through some of the programs, competitor program, the elite program, there's a structure to the psychoeducational piece, and that's what we're going to look at now. We're going to split it up into different sections, and hopefully that will stimulate some questions from you guys on topics you want to explore in a bit more depth. But I'll also be adding content to specific areas and things that we cover. So the psychoeducation piece that I just mentioned, that's really important in all of this. So psychoeducation is an understanding of how the brain works. Fancy term, but straightforward. Understanding how the brain works, why we think, feel, respond the way we do, and what we're going to do about that. Now, that can be how we think, feel, respond in terms of an upcoming competition, in terms of our business, our work, relationships, how we're turning up in our life generally. So there's a lot we can expand on there, and that's the reason for this group is for people with any questions, add it to the group, and we'll discuss different topics. But really, we're going to add real value here by expanding on those questions and on the answers that I give. So important foundation, really important foundation is the psychoeducation piece, not just for performance mindset, but on the clinical side, understanding anxiety, understanding depression, and then what we're going to do about it. So the psychoeducation piece, that element of understanding is a really powerful piece to build everything else on. So elite fighters, George St. Pierre and Mike Tyson, some of the main guys at the very top of their game, um, particularly fighters in this case, but a lot of athletes in general and high performers. You will hear a lot of them saying 90% mental, 10% physical, or 80% mental, 20% physical. Like George St. Pierre needs no introduction. He's known to have said this, on many occasions. Fighting competitions, 90% mental, 10% physical. So if we're training day in, day out in the physical side and developing our skills, developing our techniques, our timing, our ability, how much are we dedicating to the mental side? And that's also what this group is about. Just continually learning, developing, and we're going to do that through a number of different means. So I'll be adding to this really good value in terms of the visualizations, hypnosis, there'll be meditations, there'll be journaling practices and routines that we're going to build into habits that are going to become permanent so that we can have really big differences and a progression in our mindset going forward. Now, some psychologists, psychotherapists may see this 90%, 10% as a generalization. In some cases, that may be the case when you're pushing yourself so hard physically. There will be overlap mentally where you're really expanding growth. But in terms of the educational piece and in terms of actual techniques and processes that you're developing mentally, the question is how much are you doing there? So that's what this is about as well. Okay. So good quote here that I go through in some of the talks I give. I really like it. So it's by Dr. Kate Kirby. She's the Irish Olympic sports psychologist. So performance mindset is the thing that allows you to express that physical and technical readiness. So if athletes are not in that place mentally, it's very hard to express that preparation in a way that justifies all that training that they've done. So basically, having that performance mindset allows you to express all the things you've been training, all the techniques, all the abilities, express them on game day, during competition, under pressure. And that's key, right? Being able to showcase what you do in training, in competition, and the mindset that will allow you to do that is very important. And that's what we build. A lot of you can, through the competitor program, through the elite program, that that's what we really focus on. And when you get that physical side in combination with the mental side, and your physical and mental game is together, then you can really express yourself in game time. and in competition. So, two parts of the brain. There's the human part, the intellectual mind, which we will discuss in more detail, and the primitive brain as well. So I want to do two separate pieces on this. But in terms of an introduction, the psychoeducational piece, really important. A lot of neuroscientists say the mind is the brain in action. So for us, understanding the brain, understanding how it works, how it operates, is really important, particularly understanding the negative side as well. So that primitive brain, the survival aspect, how it can hold us back when it comes to competition, and then really developing that human part of the brain, which is called the prefrontal cortex. It's a part that allows us to be at our very best, also called the intellectual mind. So that's the part that separates us from other animal species. And when we develop this part of the brain where we can operate from this part of the brain more, that's where we really see big differences in our performance, not just our performance, but how we go about life. We're really in a solution focused mindset there, as opposed to focusing on the problems all the time, which is that survival mode. Now we're focusing on, right, how do we create solutions? And it's a great place to be in your life generally, but particularly in competition and in business, work, all that good stuff. So next videos, I'll dive into this a bit more. I'll do a video on the human brain, the prefrontal cortex, and then the primitive brain, that survival, fight, flight, freeze brain. Okay, thanks.